I have this wine. I keep it in my cellar. It is quite old. And he starts pouring him this glass of wine. And Renfield's like, are you gonna drink too? And Dracula's like, I do not drink wine. It's like, all right, I got it. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content in my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games. I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video. But my friends, I do want to go ahead and get to tonight's review. We're going to be doing 1931's Dracula, chat, specifically the English language version. I know there was a 1931 Spanish version. We learned that a couple months ago, but we're talking about specifically the 1931 film, chat, directed by Todd Browning, starring Bela Lugosi. Chat, before I go ahead and get into the scene by scene breakdown this movie, chat, the details, nitty-gritty details, I must ask you a very important question. How many of you have seen 1931's Dracula, chat? I'm very curious. It's a classic Universal monster movie, perhaps one of the most influential films of all time, chat, specifically in regards to vampire mythology, chat, and various vampire adaptations. Hamilton, I've seen it many times on many occasions. If I'm just calling me, Bradley Curtis, no, I don't think I have. Really? Sirius Spock? Yes. Raise your hand. Thunder Lee says, see. So I have never seen this movie. Wow. Sarah Fax, yay. I assume yes. Rotom, I have. It was first movie that was shot on IMAX. Yep, you nailed it, man. Alex Bonal, I have every year. Sarah Fax says I have. Kaz Faye, I have not. RD, me. Broadway Jump Joke, of course. Parents, you want to bite your neck? Please, no. Please don't leave those little marks and stuff. Don't make me your slave. Sarah Vax, I still have my Universal DVD set. Nice. Axel, I've not seen a Mysterious Ruin. No, honestly, I only seen 2014 movie. That's interesting. I guess it's a generational thing, you know. The younger people are, the less chance they actually have seen this movie. Witness! Witness speaks! Our game, I hope you're doing very well. We're just currently talking about Dracula 1931, asking people if they've seen this movie. I hope you're doing very well. Doc, you've got Dr. Van Helsing. Van Helsing is in this movie, chat. He's a badass. He's an old man, but he studies the supernatural. He studies the things that science is too scared to question. Too scared to go into the bowels of the supernatural, chat, and make magic reality. Make the supernatural the science of today. That's what he's all about, chat. He's not afraid to ask those questions that all these fucking scientists, all these jabronis are too scared to ask. Now, Van Helsing is a badass in this movie. He's an old fucking man, but he gets the goddamn job done, chat. He's a very competent character. So this is cool. Chris, I'm going to see it tonight for the first time through your voice. Yes, you are. So those of you who have never seen this is actually fine, because I'm going to do my own rendition of 1931's Dracula, chat. A few facts about this film. I believe it was one of the first, if not the first, talkie horror film, chat, released in 1931. It is. So, producer, the Dracula's the first sound film adaptation of the Stoker novel. So, at least it's the first sound adaptation of his original novel, chat. This is actually an adaptation of the 1924 stage play Dracula, which Bela Lugosi was actually starring in, chat. Went on tour and things, great success. And, of course, the stage play is an adaptation of the Bram Stoker novel, chat, from 1897. There was a Dracula adaptation, or at least a Bram Stoker Dracula adaptation in the 20s. That was Nosferatu, chat, although it was done without the permission of the Stoker estate. Stoker estate sued the filmmakers, and they won, and they requested that the film be destroyed, which, you know, the filmmaker said that they did, but obviously their copies were saved, and so Nosferatu exists until this day. But this one was actually done, you know, with the permission of the Stoker estate, chat. Famously, of course, this is the one that features Bela Lugosi as the character of Dracula. As I said, he was starring as the character in the 24 stage play. He had to beg the studio to play the part because the studio was, you know, well, they were against the idea of, they were very much against the idea of him playing it, specifically because of his accent, which sadly prevented him from getting a number of roles throughout his entire career. Bela Lugosi is Hungarian, and as you can tell, he has a very thick, very pronounced Hungarian accent. And because of that, the studio didn't want to put like someone in the lead role with such a heavy accent. Like, again, and still that kind of way to this day for the most part, where for so many films for decades and decades throughout Hollywood, chat, you have an American accent or an English speaking accent. That's it. And you get the lead role. Outside of that, no, it was kind of unheard of, especially this time, to have someone who had such a pronounced, heavy Central Eastern European accent be featured in the role. And he only got it just because, one of the big reasons, the reason why he got it is because he said, okay, I'll take a decrease in pay. And he was paid only $500 a week to play the character, chat. About 7 weeks of shooting. So he was paid about $3,500 to play Dracula. He later on, he said after the movie came out, he didn't want to be defined. He was actually very scared because he realized what this movie was going to be. And he at first was like, I don't want to continue playing this character, because they asked the people for the stage version, asked him to come back after the film, and he said, no, never again. I want to pursue different roles. But he was typecast. Like, his fear came true. He was typecast for the rest of his life. He was resentful over that. He played Dracula in multiple other movies, chat. He also developed a bad alcohol and drug problem, chat, and died in the 50s. His last film that I believe he worked on was Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space. This was long before, like, when the studio had abandoned him because of his drug habit. And he died in the middle of filmmaking, sadly. So $3,500 is still a lot of money back then, but it was a lot less than what he probably should have been paid, for the role. Because that was one of the big reasons why they allowed us, like, oh, shit, okay, you're willing to do it for, like, this amount of money? Yeah, we'll do that. No problem at all. So, yeah, sadly, the legacy of this film is incredible. This film spawned countless Dracula and vampire movies for decades, Chad. For the last, 90 years at this point? For 90 years, chat, we've been getting all sorts of vampire films. And I would say this particular movie, it's like, you can argue Nosferatu, but I would say this particular movie is the most influential vampire film. Really, it expanded upon the mythology, made people aware of what vampire mythology is. Everything from, their weaknesses to the crucifix, to their lust for bloodshed. Are they able to transform into animals, whether it be a bat or a wolf or even a mist? Like, it really put out there for people, and it became a part of the pop culture zeitgeist, and it's been used time and time again for decades, Chad. Like, it's a very important movie, and I think Bela Lugosi, when we picture Dracula, I think the first thing that pops up in at least most people's minds, a lot of people's minds, is Bela Lugosi as the character. Those eyes, and how he stares at you. And how they made this especially pronounced, where they would actually put a light just underneath his eyes, so when his stare, it almost looked like he was hypnotizing you. He was hypnotizing his victims. I thought that was very cool, very ingenious. And he just has that look, and it's just the all black and the suit jacket and things, and with the white underneath. He has a very interesting look that stands out to this day and is copied time and time again. So, it's a very important film for horror, chat. Yes, you already had a number of other Universal monster movies, Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame. But I think, like, this was the one that really popularized it. Because the studio realized they had something with Dracula, the same year they did Frankenstein, 1931's Frankenstein. Next year, they did 1932's The Mummy. Then they did The Invisible Man. And then they did all these other spinoffs and sequels until eventually we're getting stuff like 1941's The Wolfman. And later on, was it like 1954's Creature in the Black Lagoon? So, yeah, and again, all those versions of those characters are incredibly influential and important. But they all truly started with 1931's Dracula, chat. And yeah, it's a great movie to talk about. I'm excited to do so, chat. Track Juice, good to see you. Hope you're doing very well. Larry Miguel, good to see you. But now, chat, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details, chat. We start with the opening title card of Dracula. Really the only part of the movie that actually has any music, chat. For the most part, there's like no music playing. Now, there was a version when they did the VHS re-releases in like 1998, 1999. They added a score to the film. I watched them all without the score. I remember having the 99 VHS. I think I still do, or it has the score, but I can't recall it, chat. But I'm very much watching the original one, and only in the opening credit card or a title card, do they actually have any score? And it's like this, this vampire bat just staring at you like this, has all the names and credits and things. But shall we transition from that title card and from the music fanfare to a carriage in a ravine, chat, surrounded by Hungarian mountains, chat, okay? It's not really Hungarian, even though everyone's speaking Hungarian in the movie, at least some of the extras, chat. We're in Transylvania. We're in a Transylvania ravine and mountain range, chat, and we're in this little carriage of a bunch of stinky people. You can just imagine it's 1931 in Transylvania, and they've been in this carriage for God knows how long, chat, just shoulder to shoulder, chat, knee to knee, and someone's going to start sweating. Someone's going to start falling. That carriage is like going up and down. Someone's going to go by accident, and everyone else is going to just let loose at that point. Like, well, if he fucking did it, then I'm going to do it too. And so we're just in a stinky carriage with all these people saying, driver, you've got to slow down. You got to slow down. And the driver, the carriage is like, fuck that. The sun's about to set. I'm getting to the nearest village as quickly as possible. Where we have our character of Mr. Renfield, chat. He's a solicitor. He's traveled to Transylvania in order to help a new client with a lease. Has acquired a large dilapidated castle in England, in London specifically, chat, London, England, and he's going to meet him. And he's even asking the driver to kind of, cool his jets, to take it easy. But he's like, I got to get to town immediately, chat. We cut to the small Transylvanian village where all the villagers they're doing their thing. But they seem to be prepping. They're cooking stuff. They're cooking onions and garlic, but they're also putting all this, we don't even know what it is yet. But they're putting this plant, this weed over their doors and over their windows and things. And they look out the windows and they see this carriage just coming right in, chat, just coming right into the village. And they all get out to see who it is. And everyone's getting out. Everyone's going inside. But then you have good old Mr. Renfield, and he's like, yeah, no, don't take my luggage. I'm supposed to meet another carriage later tonight, around midnight. And the fucking the guy who's assisting with the baggage and the carriage driver, they're talking in Hungarian, chat, and they're going, what the fuck's this guy about? We're not going out there at midnight. Does he not know? Does he not know of that vampire? And then the innkeeper comes out and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Listen, they're just talking because they're kind of concerned about driving the carriage at night. Why don't you stay the night? And I'm sure I can get the carriage driver to take you later in the morning when the sun has risen." And Renfield's like, "No, I talked with the man. I had correspondence with Count Dracula that I'd be there at midnight." He's like, "You're going to see Count Dracula?" He goes, "Yeah. He's he's a business dealing, and I'm part of it. I'm part of that transaction." He's like, "Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you right now. You don't need to see Count Dracula, okay? Now's the time. Castle Dracula, that is the last place you want to go to at night, okay? We lock up at night every time to protect us. Protect us from the things at night that come to prey upon us." He's like, "What are those things?" He's like, "Vampires, man, vampires. So get your keister in here, all right? And we're gonna, and you can just stay the night. Don't worry, you don't have to pay me anything. I just want you inside, okay? I want to protect you." He's like, "Listen, I got to get going. I'll pay the driver double." And the driver's like, "I will take that money, but after that, I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge." And Mr. Renfield's like, "All right, that sounds good." And the innkeeper's like, "God be with you, son of a bitch. You unlucky, poor, dumb son of a bitch." And they all go inside, chat. Later on, we cut to the titular Castle Dracula, chat. This large, dilapidated castle. We explore inside of it, chat. All these hallways covered in cobwebs and shadow. It's falling apart, chat. Barely holding together, bursting at the seams, chat, with the dilapidation. And then we go into the bowels of the castle, the basement, chat, where the soil meets with the stone, chat. And we see these boxes, but no, they're not even boxes, chat. We see coffins, and we see all these little creatures. This is weird. So clearly they're like, put whatever little creatures you can find. There's possums in here. There's raccoons. And for some reason, chat, armadillos. I don't know why there are armadillos in Dracula's castle. I think that's a native species of the United States, specifically the American Southwest and Mexico and Central America. Why does fucking Castle Dracula have armadillos walking around? Very weird. Armadillos are scary. Apparently so. And we see, chat, these coffins slowly open, and a hand appear above them. The camera pans, chat, and we pan over to these other coffins, chat, where these beautiful women are coming out, chat, but they are as white as snow itself, and they are hangry. And we pan over to the original coffin that was opening up, and we see him, chat, Bela Lugosi's Dracula, clothed in all black, staring at the camera as if he's hypnotizing us, because he wants to suck on our face, but not in a sexual way, Chad, not in a sexual way. We then cut. Oh, by the way, I should let you guys know, before they all left, before Renfield left from the village, one of the villagers said, take this fucking crucifix with you. It'll protect you. This old woman's like, take this with you because it'll protect you from the things that you will face. And he's like, okay. And he fucking wears it, Chad. He takes it with him. Forgot to mention that. But after that, Chad, we cut. It's like later that evening, and we see Dracula. He is on the carriage itself. He's on the carriage waiting for Renfield, Chad, clothed all in black, his face covered, a large top hat, and he's just waiting there, staring ominously into the distance until we finally see Renfield's carriage come up. Driver's like, get the fuck out of here. Kicks him off, kicks the stuff, and he fucking tails it all the way back to the village. He's as fast as his horses can ride. Renfield has his luggage, and he goes to drive it. Excuse me, sir. Witness! Witness me! Thank you so much, Hashtag Nick Diaz with the raid. Everybody on the dance floor. Raid. Thank you, man. Oh, my God. Run, everyone. It's a raid. Thank you, Mr. Diaz, for that very kind raid. Chat, please do check out the chat deck. Give this man support. One of the backbones of the DT community. Make sure that the guy uses the goddamn car. Good to see you, man. Or the carriage in this case. The carriage in this case. Currently reviewing Dracula. 1931 classic of Bela Lugosi. But Renfield, he goes up to the carriage driver, who is Dracula, and says, excuse me, are you the carriage driver for Dracula? Dracula ain't saying shit. He's just staring at him. And he's like, should I put my luggage with you? And Dracula just takes that shit. He takes the one bag. He takes his little bookkeeping bag and puts it on his lap. And he opens the door for him. He's like, okay, cool. And he just goes inside the carriage. He goes inside the carriage shed. Dracula shuts it. And he just fucking takes off. He takes off, going up to Castle Dracula. The carriage ride is very rough, Chad. It's going very fast. And eventually, Renfield, he opens up the door to the carriage, or the window of the carriage, and he says, excuse me, would you mind if you didn't ride so fast? But there's no driver anymore, Chad. The driver is gone. All he sees is the horses and this giant fucking vampire bat that's leading them. And he's like, what the fuck is this? I should have listened to those people. He's like, this is a little weird. Thank you, No Name for the 10 biddies. Very, very kind for the Doge biddies. Thank you so much, No Name Woman. But this fucking bat, chat, it's flapping its wings, and he's like, all right, out of sight, out of mind. He closed that window, and he waits, and eventually the carriage stops. So there's no driver at all, and he gets out, and he goes to speak to the carriage driver, but he's like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? He's vanished, and the horses take off. So he's like, wait, my luggage. And he's like, God damn it. But he sees the castle doors, the great castle doors have opened for him, almost beckoning to him, chat. And he steps through. And he looks in. He's disgusted by what he sees. The castle is completely dilapidated. All the stone is degraded. Pillars have fallen over, chat, covered in cobwebs, covered in bat filth. There's so much bat shit everywhere, chat. Just guano everywhere. Armadillos for some reason. There's a shit ton of. It was like, wow, did Dracula just like, I want to buy armadillos? And it's like, I guess that's what he did. He bought a shit ton of armadillos, chat, and they've bred. They just fucked in his castle, and there's a whole family of armadillos. I don't get it. But he's going up, he's walking around, and then, chat, we see him. We see Count Dracula. Apparently, he's changed very quickly out of his carriage rider garb, and he is wearing his classic Dracula attire, chat. Got the fucking black cape, got the incredible suit, has the medallion on his neck, chat, and he has this torch, these candles. He's descending these stairs, chat, one by one. Taking his time. He's like, I'm in no mood to rush, okay? I gotta sell this scary aesthetic. And eventually he presents himself in front of Renfield, chat, right? Like he's just above this. Like Dracula's always like standing over him. He's always like looming over an individual. That's what he always tries. Like he has a very pronounced chest, and he's always looming over you. And he's like several steps higher than Renfield. And he's like, I am Count Dracula. I bid you welcome. And there's like a pause to his dialogue. And apparently, Bela Lugosi has said, and also the filmmakers have said, Todd Browning, he said, I wanted to give him like a slow speech. Not just because he thinks like, oh, it's romantic or anything like that. Like he's thinking about what he says. He wanted to almost make it where they kind of lean into the whole undead thing, where his speech is like, he's trying to like, how do I act like human? What am I supposed to say here? And so that's why he has this kind of slowed, almost slurred speech, because he's undead. But I think it's really, really interesting. I was like, oh yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, technically he is. And Renfield's like, hi, this place is interesting. I'm the solicitor going to help you with your lease in London. He's like, yes, come with me. I will show you to your quarters. And they go up the staircase, but before they do so, they hear some animals howling, oh, 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 oh. And Renfield's like, fuck. And Dracula's like, the creatures of the night. What music they make. He's all about it. And Renfield's like, yeah, I guess so. And then we get a cool, interesting shot where Dracula is going right towards these, like, this giant mass of, like, spider webs, cobwebs. And he just walks through them, chat, but with, like, he doesn't get any on him. It's almost like he just stepped through them. Like, he became translucent. And Renfield, like, blinks and, like, what the fuck was that? Like, he's confused. Because he's, like, Dracula's, he's immaculate. He's perfectly clean. And he goes up to the giant cobwebs over the stairs. And he has to, like, use his cane to swipe at them. And he sees this giant fucking fake spider up a wall. And he goes, oh. And Dracula's like, the spider. Like the fly. You could get caught in its web. Be careful, Mr. Renfield. Be careful. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he leads him up to his quarters, chat. And this is a lot better. Got a big fucking fire roaring right now. Got a nice spread of food, chat. Got some wine on the table. Looks really nice. Got a nice bed. And, you know, it's like, I hope the accommodations here are more welcoming than my foyer. And he's like, oh, this is looking very nice, Count. This is very nice. I love the fire. And he's like, goes over the fire trying to warm himself. The castle is so cold because he never has to warm it, chat. He's trying to warm himself. And Dracula's like, please, I have left out some food for you to eat. Come and join me. And Renfield's like, oh, okay. And he goes over there, sits down, and they start going over the lease. And Renfield's like, so, I've taken care of everything. I just want to give you the documents, sign it. You should be good. And yeah, you'll get the Abbey. You'll get the Abbey next to the Seawards in London. He's like, may I see the lease? And he's like, yeah, of course. And he gives him the lease, and Dracula's like, oh, I need to make sure this is all correct. And he's like staring at it so fucking intensely. It's like, all right, take it easy. But he's like, yes. And he's like, I have chartered a boat that'll take me to London tomorrow. And he's like, cool. Are you taking any possessions? I will only take 3 boxes with me. It'll be filled with things of my home country. And he's like, yeah, that's good. Nope, no problem. 3 boxes. Thought you'd even take more. Yeah, no, that makes it easy. That makes my job easier. So thank you, Count. He's like, you're welcome. And so he's like, well, thank you. You signed the lease there. You signed it. Thank you. Got that. And right, he's, making sure all the papers are in there. And he cuts his finger, chat. Little paper cut. And Dracula's like, I want to suck on your finger so bad. And Dracula's like, oh. And, Renfield's like, oh, it's okay. It's just a paper cut. It's no big deal. Dracula's like, I'm going to go right for that fucking thing. But right before Dracula's about to start sucking on that man's finger, chat, the crucifix falls right next to his hand. Dracula's like, oh. It's like, it hurts him, the sight of it. And he's like, Renfield's like, oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to. Are you okay? He's like, I am sorry. Blood, the sight of blood frightens me. Also, there's another great line where before, like, they start going with the paperwork, Dracula's, like, pouring Renfield. Oh, this is right before, actually. This happens right now. And so he's like, Mr. Renfield, I want to bid you adieu. You have helped me. I am quite thankful. But before you go, have a drink. I have this wine. I keep it in my cellar. It is quite old. And he starts pouring him this glass of wine. And Renfield's like, are you gonna drink too? And Dracula's like, I do not drink wine. It's like, all right, I got it. Pours it fucking in there. And he's like, drink up. Tell me what you think. And Renfield's like, this is really good. Robust flavor. Dracula's like, yeah, nice, right? And he's like, I bid you a good night, Mr. Renfield. And he fucking goes out. Mr. Renfield, he's looking around his accommodation. He's like, this is a nice place. But he's like, Whew, I feel tired. It's a long day of travel. But then we go into we cut to like the hallways of Dracula's castle, and we see his 3 wives, chat. And they are still hangry. They want a piece of that man meat, Mr. Renfield, chat. By the way, Mr. Renfield, I should have said this at the beginning, is he is played by Dwight Frye, who plays Fritz in 1931's Frankenstein, chat. Also plays another character in 1935's Frankenstein. He was in a number of Universal monster horror films. But the wives are coming for Renfield. Renfield's just walking around and shit. Like, he's feeling like he just starts feeling hot and bothered. Chat goes to the windows, opens the window, steps out. It's all covered in mist. And the giant vampire bot has shown itself again. He's like, and he fucking falls down, chat. Boom, right on the stone floor, chat, bleeding out. And all the wives, they come in and they want they want some of that white meat. But Dracula, he transforms into his human form, chat. He was the bat. And he's like, bitches, you get the fuck out. This is my food, okay? You get the fuck out. You feast after I do. And you're like, he's like, to them. And he goes down and he starts sucking Mr. Renfield, chat. He gives Mr. Renfield a good old suck, chat. Then afterwards, chat, we transition. We transition to the boat that Dracula has charted for himself. And we see he is accompanied by Mr. Renfield. Mr. Renfield has gone fucking nuts. And he is in the bowels of the ship, seemingly talking to himself. Master, the ship, how it moves, master. A storm has broken upon us. But the sun is no more. And Dracula hears this shit. He opens up his fucking box, chat. He goes out and he's like, Master, are you pleased with me, master? Will you give me so many little lives to enjoy? How sweet they will be to suck and suck. And Dracula's like, shut the fuck up. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. And Dracula, he goes up to the boat, and we see, like, the crew is trying to, like, outlast the storm. They're struggling. The waves are crashing in this rain. Dracula just goes up there, and he's just staring at all of them like, and he's like, oh, shit, what's going to happen, chat? And he fucking eats every single one of them. And then, chat, we cut. The ship has somehow made it to London, but the crew is all dead. They're all corpses, chat. They're all frozen. Just like sometimes in the position, like you have the ship's captain at the wheel of the ship. His arms have been bent backwards, chat. Been sucked dry, chat, along with the rest of the crew. I love that. That's like Dracula's a fucking high body count in this movie. We don't see him do all these things. They don't have the budget for it, and because they can't show it because of how scary it would be. But he killed the entire fucking crew, and they somehow got to the goddamn the dock shed in London. But they have these detectives, these policemen on board, and they're like looking around like, what the hell happened here? And we cut down to the bowels of the ship, and we hear Renfield going, Master, we have made it. We have come. Are you not pleased with me? And the detectives from upstairs, they can hear this, and they go, what the fuck is that sound? And they open it, and Renfield's just standing there at the bottom of the ship going, and we're like, oh my God, he's gone fucking mad. Help this man. And we cut to a newspaper, and it's about how the ship, they call it the Ship of Corpses. The ship manned by corpses. Oh, the entire crew was dead, save for one individual, Renfield, and how he's been taken to the Seaward Sanatorium, chat. It's the most renowned sanatorium in London for people with various mental illnesses and sicknesses. Thank you, the Elite, for resubscribing. I knew your secret. Thank you, the Elite. But they also talk about Renfield and how he is obsessed with draining the blood of insects and like small animals and creatures, and he drinks it. And they're like, they don't know how to diagnose this, man. It's very odd. They've never seen a case like this in their entire history at the sanatorium. But after that, chat, we cut to Dracula. Now he's walking the streets of London, chat, in this incredible black attire. She has this giant hat. All the streets are covered in mist. And Dracula's like, he's just looking around. It's like, a smorgasbord, a smorgasbord. He's like Templeton the Rat. He's like, I can't fucking help myself. And all these dumb motherfuckers don't know who I am. So I think that's one of the reasons why he left Transylvania, because all the Transylvanians, they got fucking wise to him. They're like, okay, we know what he's all about. We know how to protect ourselves. Fuck him. He's not getting this. I think he's just hungry. I think he's just like, God damn it. I need a food source, and I need to go to a place that no one knows anything about me, or he assumes no one would know anything about me. And so we just cut to this random little British Cockney accent flower. Would you like a flower, sir? Ma'am, would you like a flower, would you? And Dracula's like, come here, honey. And she's like, would you like a flower for your shirt, sir? And he's like, yeah, just come here. And he fucking eats her. He drains her blood, chat, and she dies. And then after that chat, we cut to Dracula. He's going to an opera, and he talks to one of the staff members. Basically, he has this fucking stare, and they emphasize it with these lights they put under Bela Lugosi's eyes, give him that hypnotic stare. And he basically takes control of this one woman and the staff working there, one of the valets, chat, and he's like, okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna introduce me to those people in that fucking booth over there, okay, and you're gonna tell Dr. Seward, all right, that he has a call. All right, so I can talk to her. She's like, yes, Count. And they go over there, and she interrupts. The opera is like an intermission, and the staff member goes and talks to Dr. Seward, who is in charge of the sanatorium that Renfield's currently at. And she goes, excuse me, Dr. Seward, I believe that there's a call for you at the front of the opera, or in the near the ticket booth, and he's like, oh, I'll go take it. But then that's when Dracula comes and is like, Dr. Seward, apologies, I overheard your name. I wanted to introduce myself. I am Count Dracula. I believe we ought to be neighbors. I've recently leased the abbey next to your house. I was hoping to meet you. And he's like, oh, Count Dracula. Well, it's an honor to meet you. I'm so happy someone's finally taking that place over. It's been quite some time. He was like, yes, I know. I'm quite excited. And Dr. Seward introduces like all of his friends. He's like, oh, I want to introduce my daughter, Mia. This is my daughter, Mina. This is her fiance, John Harker, and I also want you to meet Lucy, a friend of mine. And he's like, hello, so good to see you. I hope you're all doing very well. And he just starts fucking talking to him, but, Mina's got she's like, this guy's fucking weird, and Jonathan Harker's weird. Lucy, on the other hand, is like, oh my God, he's so hot. I want to have sex with him right now. Immediately. And later that night, Lucy's like, oh, fucking Mina, are you all about that Count Dracula? I mean, he's a hottie, and she's like, he's fucking weird. He's really, really weird. She's like, whatever. You just a racist. You don't appreciate them Central Eastern European men. Get out of here. She's like, I'll see you tomorrow. She's like, all right, see you tomorrow. Sleep well, and she leaves. And Lucy, she goes to bed. Dracula's like, he's got that Lucy scent. And he knows that she's attracted to him. So he's just outside. He passes by this police officer. He's like, fuck off. Don't talk to me. And the police officer's like, okay, I'll go fuck off and not talk to you. He's hypnotizing everybody. And he's just standing outside her window like, I'm going to get you, bitch. Now, this is the Dracula that he can just come in inside uninvited. There's some vampire movies where a vampire has to be invited inside in order to then, get you. This case, Dracula's like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And so he transforms into his bat form, goes to her window, opens the window, mist enters in. He also turns into mist on occasion, and he hypnotizes her. She's in bed, she's seeing this, but she's transfixed on him. She can't do anything. And he just fucking goes down on her and starts sucking, chat. Dracula's not a selfish lover, but he does kill her, chat. He does kill her, and Lucy is dead. And we then cut, chat, to an autopsy at the sanatorium, being performed by Dr. Seward. And Dr. Seward's like, we've had multiple victims over the last several weeks who have had all these wounds. And he says that they seem to be drained of substantial amounts of blood, and they have these two marks on the back of their neck like an animal or something has bit them and drained them. We've never seen anything like this. Even after we've given the victim additional plasma and blood, they always pass on. We have no explanation for this. We then cut chat, and like Renfield is like constantly breaking out of the asylum and acting fucking nuts. We have this one very Cockney accented like orderly. He's like the loony. The fly ain't alone. He's broken out again. And like even when like Renfield like catches this spider, and like the orderly's like, no, stop eating spider. He's like, no, please, I wish to suck the spider. He's like, stop fucking sucking spiders and flies, you will. He's like, I need it. My master promised all the small lives for me. He's like, Jesus Christ, dude, you need help. But after that chat, we cut, and we're introduced to the character of Van Helsing, because Dr. Seward has nowhere else to go. He's like, they can't explain all these deaths. The circumstance of these deaths is just very strange, and now it's hit close to home. And so he goes, chat, to speak to another medical professional, one that is an odd one that has, experimented in things that, a lot of scientists care not to talk about. And that, chat, is Van Helsing. And basically, Van Helsing, played by, and this guy's great because this is like an older Van Helsing, scientist Van Helsing. And the person who plays him is Edward Van Sloan. He does a fucking fantastic job. And he's played multiple other characters. He was in Frankenstein. He was also in The Mummy. Really, really good. He does a really good job here. But what I like about this, because Dr. C's like, Van Helsing's like, explain to me like what you've seen, what happened, the circumstances of these deaths. He's like, well, the victim's been drained of all this blood. They have bite marks, and fucking Van Helsing's like, that's fucking vampires, bro. That's vampires. He's like, what's a vampire? And he's like, okay, let me tell you. And Van Helsing just explains vampire shit. He kind of lays down like all the mythology, because yes, we did have Bram Stoker's Dracula out there. We did have the stage play, but it was still not well known. The concept of vampires to the greater public, to the mass media, to mass audiences, chat, was not well known. Nowadays, it's like, of course everyone knows what a vampire is. But in 1931, people didn't know. They had no fucking idea. And so Van Helsing is basically laying down like all the common tropes we hear about vampires. And it's like they have an unnatural long life, they're undead, but they have the unquenchable thirst for blood. And they hypnotize their victims, and this is what they do. And they obsess over this. This is what consumes them, is the price of their own immortality. To defy death, you must constantly engage in death. Which is like, that's pretty true. That's pretty true. Renfield also comes in at one point, and he's like besides himself. Renfield's an interesting character because, again, he's super over exaggerated, but he does have these moments where he's fighting against his own enslavement to Dracula, where he goes from being mad to being very like much in control of his own mind, where he basically says, listen, there's one point when he comes out of his spell, his enslavement. And he's like, you need to protect Mina. You need to protect her. And everyone's like, why do we got to protect? What are you talking about? How do you even know about her? Because I guess they all live at the sanatorium too, but they have like the private residence. And he says, because, and he's like, he's constantly fighting that control. And he can't say Dracula, but he says, because my master will hurt her. And we're asking him, like, who is your master? And he's like, he'll hurt me. He'll hurt me if I say that. If he finds out, I won't get what I want. And they're like, take him back to his cell. But they're like, okay, clearly there is a fucking threat. Something weird is going on. And so later that night, everyone's like, they're going to bed, and everyone's like, Mina, just make sure, just be wary, because apparently it might be some crazy guy in town. So just take it. She's like, all right, no problem. But she goes to fucking bed, and Dracula's like, boom, bitch, I'm here, and he starts sucking off Mina, chat. He goes down on her, chat, and that's it. That's it. Dracula's not a selfish lover in any capacity, and it's like, oh boy. And then later in the morning, Mina like talks about it with her dad and with her husband. And she's saying, like, it was weird. There was like this mysterious figure who appeared in my room. And then it was suddenly, everything was covered in mist. It was so dark. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. But then all I saw was these blood red eyes. All I saw was these blood red eyes in the mist, and how they came closer and closer and closer until I saw nothing but red. And they're like, that's weird. And we noticed that she's like wearing like a bow around her neck. And Van Helsing, who's in the room, he's listening to this story, and he goes up to her, he goes, Miss Mina, would you mind if I look at your neck? You said that do you believe this individual bit you? And she goes, no, don't look. He's like, if you please. And he removes it, and he sees the marks that she's been bit. And he's like, how long have you had these marks on your neck? And everyone's like, whoa, you didn't say that. So this thing actually this happened. And she's like, I just had him this morning. And they're like, okay, this is just too weird. I mean, we've countless deaths across London with people with the same marks, drained of blood. Mina is talking about how she's had the dream about this individual who has drained her of blood, who hypnotized her. It's like, what the hell is going on here? And then Dracula just walks in and goes, hey, fam, what's up? I am Count Dracula, blah, 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 blah. And he goes in, he enters in through the backyard. And he's like, I'm sorry, I saw the lights and I heard you talking and I'm currently renovating the abbey. And you're like, Count Dracula, how you doing, man? And Dr. Seward's like, let me introduce you again to everybody. And he's like, and Dracula's like, hey, Mina, how are you? You look ravishing right now. So beautiful. She's like, thanks. And she's like smitten with Count Dracula. And Jonathan Harker's like, hey, what the hell's going on here? What's going on here? But eventually she's like, I'm just feeling kind of faint. He's like, get to rest, Mina. Please. And while they're like, he's talking to Mina and Jonathan Harker, like Van Helsing, he's like, this guy's fucking weird. And he opens up like the cigar box with a little mirror inside. He grabs himself a cigar and he sees as Mina and Jonathan are talking to Dracula, Dracula's not in the reflection. He goes, this motherfucker's a vampire. Obviously. He's like, what the fuck? Obviously. And he's like, hey, Dr. Seward, come over here. Dr. Seward's like, well, that's fucking weird. He's like, I know, right? Vampire. And so eventually Jonathan Harker, he takes me into bed. And Van Helsing's like, hey, Count Dracula, I want to ask you something. I need your help with something. He's like, of course, I'll help you, Dr. Van Helsing. Even you, such as yourself, are known in my country of Transylvania. Also, Dracula says he tried to cover his bases. He's like, I can explain why Mina is having these nightmares. It is my own fault. And like, excuse me? He's like, I have told her stories of the wilds of my home country of Transylvania, and they can be quite scary for the faint of heart. I apologize to you. I do not mean to cause trouble. I'm just meant to be entertaining. My apologies. Everyone's like, oh, no problem. But people are like, nah, you're a fucking vampire. And Van Helsing's like, I just had this most amazing discovery, and I just wanted to check with you about something. Okay, do you mind, Doctor? Of course, Van Helsing. He's like, could you look at this for me? And he opens up the fucking box, and Dracula like sees the mirror. He's like, you motherfucker! He goes, bah! He's like, God! He hits his hand. He's like, and Dr. Seward's like, whoa, what's going on? Dracula's like, my apologies, Dr. Seward. I am not fond of meals. I bid you good night. Dr. Seward, my condolences to you. I hope your daughter soon recovers. Van Helsing, fuck you. And he just walks out. He just leaves. And fucking, Dr. Seward's like, why the fuck you freak out? And he's like, because so vampires don't have a reflection. That motherfucker's a vampire. And they're like, oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. Eventually, later that night, Chad, Dracula's just hanging out in the backyard just looking. And Mina, she comes downstairs, and he just like opens up his cape, and she just goes to him. He just covers her up with the cape, Chad, and just starts going down on her, Chad, again. Not a selfish, just start biting, starts licking, doing all that good stuff. And everyone's like, the maids are saying, hey, Miss Mina's gone. Miss Mina's fucking gone. We don't know where she is. We have no idea where she is. And like another maid from outside is calling. It's like, I found her. She's fucking dead. She's dead. And Jonathan Harker runs out along with Dr. Seward and Dr. Van Helsing. Meanwhile, Renfield, he's escaped again. He's like, he's acting all crazy and shit. My master, he told me what I need to do, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And the nurse sees him, and she just fucking faints. Because you see a guy going, ha, 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 ha. You would too, Chad. She fucking faints, and he goes down on her. Just starts biting her, Chad, starts sucking all the blood from her, turning her into a slave of Dracula. It's all part of the fucking plan, baby. All part of the plan. Also, Renfield tries to warn them again, like, stay away from Dracula, okay? The guy is dangerous. He's very dangerous. Also, Van Helsing talks about how he clearly, he needs to be in his native soil in order to regain his strength each time. And Dr. Seward's like, if he needs to do that, you need to be in Transylvania. He's like, unless he brought with him actual soil from his homeland. So they actually add this where you can be a vampire and stuff, and you can sleep in a coffin, but you actually need the native soil in which you were born in, where you went through your transformation as a vampire. I guess that's required. If you don't have that, then you constantly diminish in strength until you become weakened. So a lot of caveats. A lot of clauses when it comes to becoming a vampire, Chad. You need to fucking drink blood. You get weak in the sunlight. Sometimes you burn the sunlight. Although, you see Dracula, he's not in the sunlight in this movie. And in the original Bram Stoker novel, Dracula actually doesn't like burn in sunlight. He has the abilities of a human. All of his powers, all of his strengths, they're stripped from him, and he's like any other ordinary human. Which that's not too bad. That's not too bad, Chad. And you get super powered like in the daytime, or excuse me, in the nighttime. But he's like, he must have his native soul somewhere. He's like, clearly, and by the way, which I love, Dracula's literally their neighbor. He's right across the fucking street. He's right across the street. He's in there. That's where his fucking coffin and shit is. It's like, where is he? Where can we find him? Where can we find these coffins in the soil? It's like, it's fucking probably in his house. Just go over there and stab him. That's all you gotta do. That's it. That's literally it. We also cut to Lucy. Lucy has apparently risen, chat, from her fucking grave, and she's eating kids. We see, like, because this Bobby cop is, like, doing a patrol on a bike, and he hears all these fucking kids screaming, and he sees, like, Lucy walking away, and we cut to a newspaper, and it's about how a seemingly dead woman has come back to life and has been feeding on children. It's like, holy shit! It's like, that's crazy. And Dr. Seward and Jonathan Harker, everyone else are talking to Mina, because Mina says, I saw Lucy. She came. There's no scene of this, which is weird. But she explains how she actually did see Lucy the night of all these apparent child killings. And I was talking to her, but then I realized that she had died like a week ago. And then as soon as I realized this, she ran out the fucking door. It was like, that's fucking, that would have been really crazy to see. It's like, Jesus, that's spooky. That's fucking spooky to me, chap. But at this point, they're like, okay, there's a lot of crazy shit going on right here. Mina, she's very upset about all this. She keeps like talking about Dracula, and she's scared of him, but she's also infatuated with him. And at this point, she's like, listen, John, I love you, baby, but we can't be together, okay? Something bad's happening. I don't want you to suffer from it, okay? We can't get married. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? And, like, Van Helsing's there, and she's like, Dr. Van Helsing, can you just explain him why? Van Helsing's like, listen. Get married. You're going to get married, but we got to deal with this Dracula thing, okay? I'm going to cover your entire room in this plant right here. This is Wolfsbane. That's the thing, too. Wolfsbane. Dracula fucking hates Wolfsbane, all right? So we're going to cover your fucking entire room in this stuff. You're going to wear a Wolfsbane necklace, and so he won't be able to approach you. It'll also negate his powers and his hold over you, okay? But you need to wear this stuff. She's like, okay, I will absolutely do this. No problem. No problem at all. And so they put her up there. They put her up in her bedroom for the night. They have her roll the Wolfsbane over and stuff. Later, though, Renfield, he got out again. They have him in a cell, and he's constantly fucking escaping, time and time again. And what caused him to escape, though, is Dracula saying, he's outside. Dracula basically tells him, get out there, cause a distraction, because I'm going to get that bitch. All right? We got to do this tonight. I'm not fucking around anymore, Renfield. I will give you all the little creatures you can suck. All right? And Renfield's like, yes, master, yes. And so eventually Renfield, he goes downstairs and he talks about, like, yeah, I had this beautiful vision of, oh, these rats. This red mist parted, my master promised me thousands of rats, millions of them. And he's just fucking going off. It's like, okay, dude. We get it. You want to suck blood. And are like, put him back in his god. Like, they do this like 3 or 4 fucking times in the movie. And so they all take Renfield out. Dr. Seward, he goes to check on his daughter. Jonathan Harker goes to check on his, his fiance and stuff. And then Van Helsing's just in the room, and Dracula's like, sup, bitch. time for round 2. And he's like, oh, Count Dracula, good to see you. It's like Van Helsing. Now you know what you know. But I warn you, old man, you have not even lived a single lifetime. I have lived dozens. I am stronger, wiser, more powerful than you could ever be. Now come to me. Come to me, mortal. And fucking Van Helsing's like, ah, shit, he's so dreamy. And he's like, starts taking these like steps, but he stops himself. And he stops himself and he steps back. And Dracula's like, wow, motherfucker, okay, you have a strong will. You have a strong will. And Van Helsing's like, yeah, how about you come towards me? And fucking Dracula's like, I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna suck you off, bro. And fucking Dracula walks up to him and he goes, bah! And he fucking pulls out a crucifix. And he's like, you son of a bitch. You know I don't like crucifixes. And he fucking runs. He runs shit, transforms into his wolf form, maybe possibly bat form. He gets the fuck out of Dodge at this point. Then we cut back upstairs, and the maid is going on about, I must remove all the stinky plants, all the stinky weeds, disgusting, disgusting. And she's getting rid of all the wolfsbane chat because she was bit. She was sucked on by Renfield chat. And so she's removed all of it, and basically now Mina is even more under Dracula's control, and she's acting really fucking weird because everyone's like, where's Mina? Where did she go? Where is she? And eventually they find her on the terrace, and she's just like surrounded in darkness and mist, and Jonathan goes up to her. He goes, honey, what's going on? She's like, oh, I just love the fog. I love the mist. I love the night. It's beautiful. He's like, you said you don't like the night. You said you always want to be indoors. You don't like the fog. She's like, why would I say something so stupid? That was stupid, Mina. She doesn't know what she fucking wants. She's like, but you're looking so tasty. And he's like, hell yeah, I am. But no, she wants to fucking bite that neck of his. But then fucking Dracula's like, he's in his bat form. He's like, hey, get away from my woman. Get away from me. He's like, that big fucking bat's here. And he's swiping at it and shit. And Mina, she's in a daze at this point. But eventually the bat goes away. John goes in and talks to Mina. And Mina, like, John's just talking about, listen, I know that a lot of crazy things have been happening these last couple of days with everything with Dracula and Van Helsing, but I mean, I love you. I do love you. I want what's best for you. And she's like, yeah, it's great. Let me take a nibble on that neck of yours. And right before she's about to lay them chompers inside of John, Van Helsing runs over and goes, no, you don't, bitch. Bah! And he hits her. He doesn't hit her, Chad, but he has the crucifix. Grabs John. And, John, he grabs her. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing trying to scare her? And he turns around, Mina, are you okay? And she's like, ah! When she sees the crucifix, she fucking freaks out. And he goes, oh, shit. Okay, there's a fucking lot to this. There's a lot to this right here. This is just weird. And then Mina, she breaks out of her, the spell that she's under. And she's like, I'm not in control of myself. I don't know what's going on. I think Dracula's inside my head. All I ever see is him. All I ever think about is him. John, I'm scared. Dr. Van Helsing, I'm scared. And they're like, it's okay. We're going to put you in a room with the wolfsbane and shit. That's what we're going to do. And they put her in the room, but they don't realize the wolfsbane's all gone. And so Dracula shows up. He's like, fucking cool, no wolfsbane. And he fucking takes her at this point. He's like, hell yeah, I got her. Let's go, baby. And he gets out of Dodge shit. He goes across the street. He just goes across the street. Now, this time, Renfield, he's also escaped again from his prison cell, Chad, going to his master. But Van Helsing and Jonathan Harker, they see this shit. They fucking see this shit, and they're like, all right, we gotta chase after this guy. We gotta follow Renfield. And so they follow Renfield across the street, and he goes inside the very dilapidated castle where Dracula, he has his wife, he's up the stairs. He's like, basically he's like playing with his food. He's like making her do certain things, just completely making her a puppet that's under her control. And they're walking down these stairs, and Renfield, he climbs up. He's like, Master, I'm here for you. I'm here. You promised me all of the rats, everything for me. Yes. He's crying at the same time because he's so miserable. But we see outside, John Harker and Van Helsing, they look inside and they see what's going on, and they're like, Mina, and Dracula's like, you motherfucker, you led them to me. He's like, no, master, no, they didn't follow me here. I swear to you, I would never betray you. No. And Dracula's like, move aside, bitch. And he just comes down the stairs like, I'm gonna eat you. He's like, no. And Dracula just fucking drains the blood out of Renfield, chat, and just pushes him down the stairs. Just goes, and he just falls down the stairs. He goes, boom, and dies. He dies right there. He's like, don't kill me, Master Novo. These deaths on my conscience. And they go all down the stairs. He falls in the stairs. Dracula. I love that Bela Lugosi has this great face where Jonathan Harker and Van Helsing just busting through the front door. He's like, oh, shit. He just runs. And I guess Dracula's first move is like, I'm just going to, yes. Blackie Chan, thank you so much for a resubscribing. 14 months. That's a year and some change. Thank you, Blackie Chan. But Dracula's just like, oh, shit. And he just, like, runs to the basement and locks the door behind him. And I guess Dracula's like, well, even though I'm kind of trapped, I think this is the best time to just go to sleep. And so he puts fucking Mina in a coffin. He goes his own coffin. Chad just closes that shit up. But eventually, Van Helsing and John Harker, they just break down the fucking door. They go down the stairs and they're like, oh, yeah, there's the coffins. Why are there armadillos down here? They're not native to London. That's weird. Did Dracula bring armadillos with him, chat? Apparently, he loves those armadillos. And fucking Van Helsing, he opens the coffin and goes, yeah, there he is. Dracula's just like this, not doing anything. I mean, like, this was not a good strategy, Dracula. This was not very smart. And they open up another coffin, and Mina's in there. And fucking John Harker's like, what do we do? He's like, it's okay, buddy. I need some steak. I need, like, a steak. A sharpened piece of wood or metal, because I got to stab the shit out of Count Dracula. And he's like, okay. So when they find it, and he's like, now, go to Mina, take her out of this trance, take her out of this place. I'll do what needs to be done. And fucking Van Helsing just fucking goes to town on Bela Lugosi, just like, and you hear Bela go, thunk, 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 and Van Helsing's like, well, that's a job well done, kids. All right, you guys go ahead. You go upstairs. I got a few things to take care of down here. Uncle Van Helsing wishes you the best of luck. See you later. He just stays in the basement for a while, what was he doing to that body? What was Van Helsing doing to that body, Chad, I ask you? I mean, Dracula did not bring his wives. His wives weren't there, which is weird, but okay. And then we just see Mina, she comes too. And it's just Jonathan and Mina walking up the steps of the castle, and just cuts to the end. Very weird. Again, an odd ending. I feel like they didn't know how to end this movie, where it's like, Dracula just like, okay, plan. I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm just going to take a little nap. Which is just very bizarre to me. It's like, that the fucking wolves are at the door, okay? They know where you live. You have a guy who is very intimately aware of your mythology and physiology and what it takes to kill you. And you're thinking, I'm sure if I'll just go to sleep, it'll be no problem. Out of sight, out of mind. Not smart on your count. Van Helsing, did he fuck? I feel like he fucked Dracula. I feel he's like, now I can finally do it. I can finally have my way with him. So it's weird. It's weird. Oh, yeah, 31 is a bit messy. Towards the end, though, it's like, oh, we got to wrap this shit up. It feels like there should have been, like, another 10 minutes of this movie. Or, like, a bigger confrontation between, like, Van Helsing. Like, round 3. Because they have, like, 3 rounds. Van Helsing pretty much wins each round. But I need, a round 3 of Dracula's like, all right, motherfucker, let's fucking go, old man. But we don't get that. We just get Dracula going, oh, shit. And that's it. But that, my friends, the amazing review, Chris. Thank you. Thank you, Alex Spinall. 10 out of 10 is very kind of you. That is my scene by scene breakdown of 1931's Dracula. Hope you liked it. I would probably give this one, I just want a low full price. I forgot. I really did forget how, like, weird the ending is. Like, that came out of nowhere. We're not going to go into more of this. Yeah, Chris should review Abbott and Costello. I got to review some of these in the future. It's just an odd, just like, wow, okay, I guess we're done. It's a very interesting ending. Oh, David Manners was always having his girlfriend ganked by monsters for Dracula than the Mummy. Oh, shit. 4 out of 5 C-word sucks. Naya Brownie, thank you. Dracula loves the fucking suck. Matinee for you, Thunderly. I understand that. Blah, 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 blah. I get that rating. I mean, there's so much, like, I I totally see that. I feel like I have to give it like a low full just because just the things it established. It's such an important movie and what it did. And it has some great art direction. The sets are really cool. I mean, Bela Lugosi's performance. It just comes down to, I feel like they're like, yeah, we don't know how to end this movie. That's what it is. This is a weird ending. Yeah, Dracula should have had security servants. He should have. Yeah, should have had people like, okay, we'll watch your back when you're sleeping, but nope. Rely on fucking Renfield. Dracula does not have the best taste in staff, I will say. Does not have trust the most trustworthy individuals, I would say, Chad. But there you go. Any of the books, Anna Command too. But no, it's an important movie, Chad, and an iconic movie, and has some amazing scenes and great performances and a wonderful aesthetic that influenced vampire films for 90 years, Chad. 90 years. And in 2031, this movie will be 100 years old. Less than 10 years from now, Chad, this movie will be 100 years old. Fucking nuts. But there you go, Chad. That is Dracula, 1931, the English-speaking version, English language speaking version. I'm going to take a brief break, chat. I'm going to go ahead and refill my beverage. I'm going to come back. I'm going to play some Dead Space with you guys. In the meantime, how about you go ahead and look into the blood red eyes of Bela Lugosi's Dracula. And I'll be right back.